Python programming language has over 60 built-in functions to help you code more efficiently. In this video, we will discuss the function super. Hi, Python developers. Today we're exploring the super function, a built-in Python feature that simplifies working with inheritance in object-oriented programming. By the end of this video, you'll know how super works, when to use it, and see practical examples that make it a go-to tool for managing parent-child class relationships. Let's get started. What is super? It's a Python built-in function that gives you access to the methods of a parent class. Here's the syntax. Here, type is optional, and it represents the class whose parent is being referred to. It defaults to the current class. Also optional is object or type. Here you provide the instance or class that is used to determine the method resolution order, or MRO. The result is a proxy object that delegates method calls to the parent class. Why use the function super? Well, it's essential for managing inheritance efficiently. Some key concepts include calling parent methods. Super allows child classes to call methods from their parent class. Method resolution order, or MRO. It respects Python's MRO, ensuring the correct method is called in multiple inheritance scenarios. Avoiding explicit parent references. Using super avoids hard-coding parent class names, making your code more maintainable. You'd use super when you're overriding methods in a child class and wanting to include functionality from the parent class. When you're working with multiple inheritance to ensure methods are called in the correct order. And when you're reducing code duplication by reusing parent class implementation. Let's start with a simple example of using super to call a method from the parent class. In this example, we've defined the class parent, and we've also defined a method called greet. Then we create a class called child, which is a subclass or child class of our previous class parent. Here we also define a greet method for the child class, overriding the parent. But rather than overriding it completely, we use super to initially call the greet of the parent before extending it with its own print statement. Here, super.greet calls the greet method from the parent class, and the child class adds its own behavior. The super function is commonly used to initialize a parent class within a child class constructor. Here we define the class animal, then we define a class dog, which is a child class of animal. Notice the super class is used within the constructor of dog. So here the super init name ensures that the animal class is properly initialized before adding the breed attribute for the subclass dog. Now, let's see how super handles multiple inheritance using Python's method resolution order, MRO. Here we have a class A, which has a method process. Then we declare a class B, which is a subclass of A. We also override the process method, but we include a call of super to the process method of the parent class. We also have a class C, which is a subclass or child of B. Again, we define the process method, which calls super. Then we create an instance of the C class, and we call its process method. And we see by calling the process method that the MRO starts by running the process method of C, then going to the super, which is the B class, and running its process method, which also calls super to the A. So in this example, The super function ensures the process methods are called in the correct order as defined by the MRO. With super, method calls adjust dynamically based on the MRO, making it flexible in complex hierarchy. Here we have the class X and a method called action. We've created the class Y, a subclass of X, and we overrode the action method, but within it we call super. Then we have class Z, which is a subclass of Y. We create an instance of Z and we call the action method. Note, Z inherited the action method from its parent class Y. So we don't see in the output action in Z. There's no action method in the Z class. Instead, calling action will call the action method in Y, which will then, because of super, call the action in X. So here, even though Z doesn't define its own action method, the super function ensures the MRO is respected. Here are some important points about the super function. It's context sensitive, meaning the class and instance determine the MRO at runtime. Always use super instead of hard-coding parent class names. It's more flexible and supports multiple inheritance. Use it responsibly in complex hierarchies to avoid unintended behavior. And that's the super function. To recap, it's essential for accessing parent class methods in inheritance hierarchies. It simplifies constructor chaining and supports multiple inheritance. It makes your code more maintainable by avoiding hard-coded references to parent classes. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Python tips. Happy coding!